Just over half a year into his presidency, Joe Biden was asked by reporters if the Taliban was likely to take over Afghanistan.
Is a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not.
He was asked if there were parallels between his withdrawal from that country and the U.S. withdrawal from Vietnam decades earlier.
See any parallels between this withdrawal and what happened in Vietnam with some people feeling?
None whatsoever. Zero. There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of an embassy of the United States from Afghanistan.
And when it all fell apart just the way he said that it wouldn't, he was asked if he bore any responsibility for being so wrong.
Don't you bear some responsibility for the outcome if the Taliban ends up back in control and women end up losing the rights?
No, I don't. Do I bear responsibility? Zero responsibility.
There's been a well-worn reputation for our current president that has trailed him throughout his entire political career. He's gaffe-prone. No! He sticks his foot in his mouth, says incoherent things, makes racist comments, utters sexist remarks, tells off-the-wall stories,
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
and gets basic facts 180 degrees wrong. That's his reputation because that's what he does. So how does a man like that become the supposed leader of the free world? Well, for one thing, he's enjoyed remarkable levels of protection and undeserved defense from our country's largest media platforms. They've blamed his conduct on everything from a childhood stutter to merely the cautious pauses of a fluent orator. Personally, if I'm honest, I don't think we should care too much about the gaffes. Everybody lets their mouth get ahead of their brain sometimes. It's just that most of us don't have a camera following us around 24/7 to record and report it. But we're kidding ourselves if we don't acknowledge that there is something far more troubling going on with President Biden.
What's wrong with his medulla oblongata?
Something that goes way beyond his awkward pizza eating that leaves American warriors anything but confident and inspired that this is their commander-in-chief. Here's what I mean. In the lead up to Russia's attack on Ukraine, President Biden stressed that economic sanctions were not meant to deter Putin's invasion of the country.
Let's get something straight. You remember, if you covered me from the very beginning, I did not say that, in fact, the sanctions would deter him. Sanctions never deter.
But that was the polar opposite of what the White House messaging had been over and over again. But that's not all. President Biden just informed the international community that the United States of America was willing to commit a war crime, responding to Putin's hypothetical use of chemical weapons in kind by using some of our own.
It would trigger a response in kind.
The White House had to quickly dispatch someone to contradict our own president and tell the world that we would not, in fact, be gassing anyone. President Biden told U.S. troops in recent days that they should prepare to soon be dispatched to fight in Ukraine.
And you're going to see when you're there, and some of you have been there, you're going to see women.
And again, the White House had to quickly correct the president and let our paratroopers know they would not be joining any unfolding world war. And President Biden just signaled to the entire world that the United States was committed to a regime change policy in Russia.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
Understanding a statement like that is likely to bolster Putin's stranglehold on power and also likely to make him more desperate and dangerous. The White House had to spring into action once again to say the exact opposite of what our president just announced to the world. These aren't gaffes. These are cognitive lapses that are making our world less safe and making our country less reliable to our friends and allies. And responding to that, like some are apt to do and say, well, Trump said stuff that was off the wall too, is both weak and worthless. We have only one president at a time. Joe Biden is the one we have to deal with at the moment. And we can start by collectively acknowledging the painful reality that this man is dangerously bad at his job.